but the grass is greener where you water it. That's what our grandparents did. They watered their own grass. They stayed with that person. They didn't go and look elsewhere, and they were very traditional.
Yeah.
But there's also some things that, like, I'm glad I'm not in the 50s. I don't want to be a traditional housewife. I don't want to have certain expectations of things. But
sometimes I don't want to work.
Yeah, I mean, there are times I'd like to just be a stay-at-home mom. But I do think that if that's always what's expected of you and you have nothing else, you're always going to want more, you know?
Taking a name, you're cold at the door, and welcome to the game.
Welcome back to another episode of Dear Dilemma. The weekend is almost here, people, and thank goodness. Whew. Hopefully, it's nice where you're at. You can enjoy sunny weather, maybe a pool, maybe a nice drink, some water.
It's been a long 3 weeks with Brooke's bruised lips. She'll maybe be able to drink with a straw by then after getting her lip filler.
It's been 77 years since my lips haven't changed. It'll be fine, guys. It's going to be fine. Just give it time. Anyways, we have a new episode today, and the topic of this dilemma is living together before you're married and why people break the Christian value rules to that.
Yeah.
Why is it the new modern way to live before marriage when it says to not do that in the Bible?
Yeah.
And as someone who is a Christian and goes to church, I do live with my fiance. We've lived together. We moved in together like 3 months after dating. It was very quick. I don't know how we've made it still together because there's been times where we've came close to ending it. But I was living with him before I got baptized and became, like, I guess I've always considered myself a Christian, but, you know, before, like, doing
getting
all that.
Baptized and reading the Bible,
going to
church
and all of that. And I haven't been per se shunned at church, but I have been in a situation where I was in a position at the church that got paid, even though I said I shouldn't have gotten paid, and someone, I don't want to say told on me, but maybe informed the pastors that how is she in this position and she's living with her person before marriage. So I ended up kind of getting fired / me quitting, which was fine. But I'm not mad at the church. I get it. There are certain rules you had to follow with that being on staff. So no harm, no foul. I was a little mad in the beginning. But now I'm not. So anyways, I just think you need to test the relationship to the most marital status you can by living together before you get married, because the divorce rate is so high. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is of people that didn't live together before marriage, but I think it's a good test to know, like, are you compatible? Can you live together? Do you guys have weird quirks that annoy each other? Like, can you know, I want to make sure I'm living with someone that, you know, is taking care of the house and helps cook and clean and keeps it, you know, organized. I don't want to, you know, end up getting married to, I think, the love of my life, and then I move in and it's like they're weird and they're dirty. Like, you don't know
learn
that.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah. How about for you?
Well, so I was raised Catholic, which is like you do not live with people before marriage. That's very a traditional value that I was always told. Went through college and kind of went through a period where, like, I didn't know what I believed. I kind of left the Catholic Church. And then
the best of us.
I sort of made my way into Christianity, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I like this. But at that point, again, when I got back into church a lot, I was already living with my boyfriend at the time, my college boyfriend. We ended up getting engaged. And over the course of time, I actually learned a lot about him that really made me leave him, in the sense of, like, I do think that if I would have married him and never lived with him before, I think
Your
I would
have been as fast as Britney Spears when she got married in Vegas.
Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. We would have gotten divorced because I did find things out that I didn't know about him. Like, he was going out and drinking a lot more. Like, you know, you can cover certain things up.
Yeah.
When you don't live with somebody, you don't realize that they're out doing certain things when they are.
Yeah.
But when you live with that person and they're consistently coming home drunk and slurring their words
we don't like that.
drinking and driving and not keeping up on like household chores. Like it's not a shared responsibility. You learn like traditional values that they think are okay, but maybe you don't agree with it. So I was kind of more expected to like cook, clean,
Like be a housewife,
like be a housewife, but still hold like almost a full-time job and pay for groceries, and like the finances weren't split evenly. Like I was providing more, in my opinion, to the household finances than he was, but then I was expected to stay home and, you know, do XYZ responsibilities. I'm like, that's not fair. This isn't what I want in a marriage.
Yeah.
But I never would have learned that. And I know people are going to say, well, you would just work through that in a marriage. But like, excuse me, those were deal breakers for me.
People have
and so personally, I just, you know, the last straw for myself, it was, I had knee surgery and I couldn't get up and walk because I was leaking spinal fluid. And so I was almost like passing out, like trying to just get up to the bathroom and let out our dog. And like he went out and got drunk with his friends. And
why you needed help?
Left me alone. Basically, I had to call my dad to drive 2 hours up to take care of me because he basically just left me like alone to take care of myself when I really needed him. So I'm like, well, if that's any indication, if I got cancer or anything like that, like, why would I ever stay with this person? And then my now husband, we lived together because we had both been through really traumatic, like, marriages, relationships, engagements, whatever. And we're like, we have to feel this out first.
Yeah.
Because if we know it's going to work, like, we acknowledge our commitment to God. We, you know, are Christians, all those things. But, like, we had been burned so bad from prior relationships that we wanted to make sure that our marriage would be strong if we decided to go that route. And we did, and obviously it's great.
Yeah. You know? I think there's larger sins that are done than living together before marriage. I mean, obviously, sex before marriage is a large sin. Or bigger sin. But I also, you know, there's pastors and preachers that have gone through divorce, and that's in the Bible that says, like, you can't divorce. And they have, and we're all human. And that's the thing is, like, we all will have to answer to him one day. We all have to, you know, repent our sins and apologize and pray that, you know, he lets us in. And I think it is just so Christianity's changed a lot since obviously when the Bible was written, and we're not trying to rewrite it, but I think on earth side wise, we're trying to do things that are just more modernized and just I like you said, like, I would not want to not live with him and then get married and live together and be like, okay, so this is how I would rather have gone through the trials that we have now, so that way when we do get married, our relationship will be a lot healthier, because they always say the first year of marriage is really hard. And I think, you know, we've been together 9 years now, so I think we're past all of that. We kind of got that out of the way, so now hopefully by marriage is like smooth sailing.
And I do think it's hard because, you know, a lot of people are like, well, that's what premarital counseling's for. That's why you go and have your appointments with your pastor.
Them in my business.
Well, that, or you can be really open about your answer about things. Okay, when this happens, how would you react? What would you do? I think we all think we're going to act a certain way until that actually happens. And then things play out differently. So you can, on paper, be on the same page as far as, you know, both you guys go before marriage, and then you move in together, and then everything that you said and you thought you were on the same page and you're not, because it's situational.
Well, also too, obviously, like, you know, we did this before I even started going to church, so that's just different, because I never even thought about, like, yeah, you hear it, but, you know, truly to your faith, you don't fall. Like, I wasn't following it because I wasn't at that time. But now, you know, I am the one that goes to church and all this stuff, and he doesn't, and we have our talks still about it, but I get that a lot at church is, oh, when are you going to get married, and is he ever going to come here? And that's another thing is, like, that's his journey. And same thing with living together, like, that's our journey, and we'll have to take that up one day eventually. So it's like, mind your business.
Yeah.
Keep your judgment to yourself.
Because everything's different for different people, too. And,
Yeah.
you know, even if those are core values in your family, maybe you've had something along the way. Like, my mom even encouraged me. She's like, I think that you need to live with this person before you decide to get married, because you are going to discover whether or not you want them to be your husband.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't advise you to go live with everybody, right? But like, if you're really down that path far enough, you need to probably live with them. And so even though she came from a really strict
test
Catholic
drive it before you buy it.
That's exactly
But not in that way.
Well, that's exactly what she told me. Maybe in more than one way. I don't know.
I always think, hey, mama.
But I do think that, you know, like, even though she came from a really traditional Catholic upbringing, she realized the value in maybe seeing things a more modern way.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's people, like, I have a friend that she was living with her boyfriend. They got engaged. They were continuing to live together. They started to go to premarital counseling, and they both kind of started to get really strong in their faith at the same time. And they were like, you know what? I'm going to move out. Like, she completely moved out.
Hannah Brown did that from The Bachelorette.
Oh, yeah.
They were living, and
that.
then she was like, I'm going to move out. It's like 2 months into our wedding. We're going to separate and not live together and not do the deed up until...
Yep, and that's exactly what my friend did. And I think that for them, that really strengthened their relationship and their marriage, and they got to go into things in a different light.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really respectable. I think if you've gone down that path, you can always make that decision to
I can
step
see,
back.
though, where people would say, well, what was the point of that? Like, you were already living together and doing what you did.
Yeah.
Or as my elderly friend Lee says, if he's getting the milk for free, why would he marry you? If you only knew Lee, you would laugh.
That's funny.
That's Lee. Yeah, he always says, if he's getting the milk for free, he doesn't need to marry you at this point. And I'm like, well, your generation's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing, too, is our generation is so far into, like, the technology and the social media world, and we have trust issues before trust issues should even start. Whereas our grandparents and great-grandparents, they didn't have all that. So that's why I think their relationships lasted as long as they did. And they're like, well, we've been together since we're 14. And yeah, that happens still nowadays. High school sweethearts and middle school sweethearts, it's very rare. But I think we're so involved in social media and stuff that we feel like we have to sometimes.
There's temptation at your fingertips. All you have to do is open and download an app, and you could have a girl, 10 miles down the road. Like, I think that's the hard part, is people think, oh, the grass is going to be greener on the other side. But the grass is greener where you water it. That's what our grandparents did. They watered their own grass. They stayed with that person. They didn't go and look elsewhere, and they were very traditional.
Yeah.
But there's also some things that, like, I'm glad I'm not in the 50s. I don't want to be a traditional housewife. I don't want to have certain expectations of things. But
sometimes I don't want to work.
Yeah, I mean, there are times I would like to just be a stay-at-home mom. But I do think that if that's always what's expected of you and you have nothing else, you're always going to want more. At least I've got to explore the other side of it.
And I've also been independent. I've lived on my own. I've done everything on my own. And I think that... that has kind of helped too, because then, like, I've had roommates that were really messy, and it was like I had to clean up after them every Friday. I'd come home from working my full-time job while going to school full-time, and had to clean the whole apartment and take out the trash and do the dishes and all this stuff. And so when we moved in, I mean, that was a good test to see if, like you said, are you compatible in that aspect, and are they gonna, see and do the things that you do, and not everything, but like at least house-wise and bill-wise, like, are they going to be 50-50? Are they going to help do this? And, like, yeah, sometimes Zach cooks more than I do, but, I always make sure, like, I do the dishes and the laundry and, like, sweep and stuff. But I think we're pretty fair on the 50-50 part.
And you have to pick up where your significant other,
they
your
can't
spouse
do it all.
Yeah. And I think, like, with the original guy I lived with, it was really tough, because it was like the same exact fights that just were recurring, like every couple months. Like, I would say, hey, I need more help with this, or these are the things that I'm concerned about. Like, I was really trying to
And you
make
did
it
nothing.
work, and it was like, okay. And then nothing ever changed. So I'm like, if that would have been a marriage, like, yeah, you can work through it in theory.
Your breakup would have been more expensive.
But it would have been absolutely more expensive. And, I'm like, thank God I didn't get married.
But, I've even had some elderly that lived in that more, what'd you call it? Whatever. Traditional way that they have never gotten married, and they've been with their person for 40 plus years, and they're like, hey, that's what works for us, and that's okay. You don't have to get married, and you don't have to pressure that. And so I think that's okay too. Like, not marriage isn't for everyone. Maybe just being in a relationship works out, and that's fine as well, and living together. And there's some that people live together and they don't even sleep in the same bedrooms, and that makes their marriage work out even better, or whatever it may be, which to me, I'm like, what do you mean you don't sleep together? But there's times where, like, Zach slept in on, like, the day bed in his game room because it's too late and he didn't want to wake me up, and so then, like, I'm he's making sure I get sleep and the dogs aren't barking, and he's able to still get sleep, and that's okay too. So
or
I think
you have a 3-year-old that comes into your house and kicks and lays sideways. And so one of you just leaves and goes to the couch or the guest bedroom or somewhere else.
How do you do that? Actually, the dogs do that. It's so annoying. I'm like, go to your dad's side. Like, why are you all on my side? But yeah, let us know what you think. Is it better to wait until you're married before living together, or is it a good idea to kind of test to run the relationship?
Yeah.
And if so, make sure if you are going to do that, get a place that you can rent together first, so you can kind of get out of that. Don't buy a house.
Yeah, don't buy a house. You got to
We
transfer
rented
the
first.
deed. Done that before.
Oh, yeah, see, don't do that. But yeah, comment, let us know what you think.
And if you're Christian too, how have you navigated this? And have you maybe broke the traditional Christian values just to kind of make sure that was the next step that you wanted to make?
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
Same.
And I just say, my thought process is, you can't judge me. God can judge me, and I will have to take that up with him when it's time.
Yeah.
But you can't. And you could say, I used to worry about that, and now I'm like, whatever, say what you want. I don't care, because you're not really technically allowed to judge.
No, you gotta.
I'm like our church's menace. Like, I'm like the church's wild child,
like
in
rebel.
A way. Yeah, but everyone loves me. At least they say they do. Hope you guys do. I make everyone laugh.
That's good.
And when I don't show up, they text me. They're like, "Where are you at?" They want to make sure I didn't quit or anything. So that's good. I think I'm doing something right. Anyways,
I think you are.
Follow us on social media. Hannah, take it away.
Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Dear Dilemma Official. We will see you guys next week.
See you next time.